All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. All right, welcome back. And in this week's episode, we're going to talk all about honesty and awareness because I hear it all the time, right? I eat healthy, but I just can't lose weight. And most of the time, when we really take a deep look, right, that person isn't really doing everything that they think they are. And again, this isn't about shame, it's just about awareness and honesty. So the goal of today's episode is really just to help you figure out whether you're actually doing the work or you're just dabbling. And what you can do if you're one of those people who are actually doing all the details, the measuring, the weighing, the tracking, and you're still not seeing result, wait till the end. I'm going to break down what you can do and what we can do to take steps forward to help you as well. But let's start off with the whole concept of that sentence that I just said, is that I'm eating healthy, but I just can't lose weight. There's a lot to unpack there. And the first thing that I want to unpack is that just eating healthy, and I say that in quotations if you can't see me, isn't enough because eating healthy is very vague and it's very dependent upon the person and their perception of what healthy is, right? You might talk to someone and healthy for them is just skipping fast food, right? For other people, it might be that they have a salad or a smoothie during the day, and to them, that means they're eating super healthy, right? But the problem with that is that, like I said, everyone is different, right? Like I actually broke this down with someone. I was having an intake, conversation, just going over their goals, what they'd like to do, what they're trying to do, and they said that they eat healthy, but yet they're eating things like chicken parm and thinking because there's chicken in it that it's healthy, right? So our perception is a little skewed, and that's not to knock anyone. Some people aren't just aware of what foods may be harming them or what foods are holding them back from their goals. But that's the point, is if in your head, emotionally, you're just like, man, I'm eating healthy, but I can't lose this weight. Understand that you may be uninformed, may be making the wrong decisions, and a lot of times we're not actually tracking and aware of what we're actually doing, right? So what I mean by that is that we totally underestimate our intake of what we're consuming and underestimate the effort of what it takes to actually hit those goals. Like you think you're eating clean, but you're skipping breakfast, you're snacking all day and having glasses of wine with dinner, right? Or you might be someone who eats great Monday through Thursday, but then you just let it go off the rails Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, if you do the math, right, that's like 57%. I did the math actually. 57% of the time you're eating healthy. The other 60, whatever the math is 43% of the time you're not. That math doesn't equate to the equation that you want, right? Like if you want results and you want to build muscle, you want to burn fat, you want to have an ideal body composition and feel your best and have energy, well then doing the right thing, 57 to 60% of the time isn't going to yield you the result that you want. Again, this isn't about perfection. This isn't about doing everything perfectly 100% of the time every day without fail, but it's being honest with ourselves enough to say 60% isn't going to get it done. I need to take a step to get to like 80 or 90% of eating healthy, 10 to 20% of not being so perfect, right? So again, it's not about judgment, right? I'm not calling you out specifically. It's just, let's just be aware. I look at it like this, right? I don't need to be liked by everybody, but I do care enough to tell you the truth. So if you have friends or people in your life that are like, oh, you're doing great, but you're not, they're not serving you, right? They're just trying to please you in the moment. And it might hurt at first if someone's like, you're slacking or you could really be doing better. Like that kind of like hits your ego at first because that's happened to me before. But in the long run, it's going to help you because if that could light a fire or just bring some awareness to adjustments that you can make, well, then you're going to benefit from that in the long run. So there's a big difference between half commitment and full commitment.
So the scenario goes like this, right? Say we want to lose weight and we're like, we know that exercise and eating healthy is important, right? Those are the two baseline things that you can do to improve your physique and your health. So you start working out. But I'll tell you right now, and I want to do a whole episode on this in the future, is that exercise is a small part of the equation. I think too many of us think that exercising alone is going to answer all of our prayers. No. There's so much more that goes into what you're putting in your body. It's not even funny. Like, exercise should just be a part of it no matter what. Like, yeah, you should move your body. But if you're emphasizing like, oh man, I keep doing all these workouts, but I'm not losing weight, your mindset is totally off. You need to put all of that time and attention into what you're eating throughout the day, where your stress levels are at, and then you'll be able to move the needle in the way that you think the exercise is going to do it. But back to what I was going to say, is that there's a difference between half committing and full commitment, right? If you're someone who's half committing, that means you're kind of like dabbling. You're loosely tracking your food, you're eyeballing your portions up, and you're kind of guessing at your protein versus someone who's actually doing it. They're fully committed, like you're logging your food, you're measuring your intake, and you're paying attention to the patterns. Let me explain the difference, right? If you think like, oh yeah, I eat protein during the day. When you say that, you might think, oh, I had an egg for breakfast. I had a piece of turkey on my iceberg or romaine salad, and I had a little piece of chicken. Well, that might really equate to like 40 grams of protein throughout the day or less. And you think in your mind that you're eating protein. And you're like, man, they say prioritize protein. I can't figure out why I can't build muscle and burn fat. You're not actually eating anywhere near enough protein to hit those goals. Whereas if you were tracking it and you said, okay, I had, 3 eggs for breakfast, I had 6 ounces of steak on my salad, and at dinner I had another 6-ounce piece of chicken. That is, making me too full, that is making me gain weight, I'm in a calorie surplus. Then you can make adjustments, make a small tweak, and lower maybe it to 4 or 5 ounces of steak in your lunch, and you progress from there. And it takes all of your emotion out of it. It's strictly data. It's strictly cold, hard facts. It's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. These are my eating habits. These are my stress reduction habits. These are my habits surrounding my nighttime routine. And if you're tracking it and you're like, hey, you know what? Too many calories. Okay, let's dial down the portion for dinner and we adjust from there. And we see how our energy feels. How satiated are we? What is our mood like? How is our weight fluctuating, right? And you can make those adjustments. And the cool part about it is it's a freeing decision. It's more clarity, and you don't have to get all upset about it. Rather than if you're guessing, you're kind of dabbling, then you're like, well, what do I do next? I don't know what to do. I've been eating healthy. I've been eating protein, and I still can't figure it out. And you get all worked up. You get anxiety, and that leads to you either quitting what you're doing or trying to find some new quick fix that's out there. Rather than someone who is tracking, you take the emotion out of it. You're like, oh, cool. I'll make this one small tweak, do it for a couple weeks, and I'll reassess at the end of that. That is a much, I think, better way to flow through life, right? There's less anxiety involved with it. You can stay calm in your approach. And the biggest part is that you're able to go through the journey, understanding that that is the transformation, is the journey, right? It's not some end result where you're like, all in a phase, a daze, and like you can't figure out what's going on because you're just guessing and you're like, why can't I hit my goals? I just want to be there. I'll be happy when I lose this weight. Rather than the person who's calm, they've tracked things, they're taking that all-in committed approach, they're making small tweaks and understanding that it's going to take time. Things don't happen overnight, but they're never going to happen if you don't make those adjustments, right? If you don't track what you're doing.
Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show.
So again, if you're not seeing results, but you're also not tracking, you're not testing, and you're not looking at the data, then you're not actually trying. You're just hoping, right? And maybe you guys could hear Palmer was barking a little bit, but that's the point, is like if we're not tracking what you're doing, you're just hoping that something will happen. And that's going to leave you feeling down on yourself, having anxiety, and I don't want that for you, right? This applies to anywhere in life, your business, your relationships. We have to understand what the numbers are, what we're doing, and how to make an informed decision and an adjustment over time. So I mentioned this in the beginning, but just to reiterate, I know I was kind of like rambling on the people who aren't tracking, and that's the majority of people. Let's be honest. Like, people think they're doing the work, but they're not actually doing the work. And they're not staying committed for long enough to build momentum, right? Like, you say you're eating well, but you do it for 7 days and then you kind of give up or you try something else. Like, are you actually on a daily basis doing the work for 40, 50, 60, 90 days? Like, who has ever stuck with something for that long? Not many of us. And if we actually did, we'd gain the confidence and see the results in what we're doing. I promise you that. But if you are that person who's tracking their food, they're doing their workouts, they're staying committed, they're staying consistent, if that's truly you and you're not seeing a change, this is where the deeper work comes in, right? When the effort is there, but the results aren't, there's a root cause underneath of it. There's something like a hormonal imbalance, gut dysfunction, stress and cortisol dysregulation, or something like blood sugar instability. This is exactly what I do in my coaching program. We run functional labs to see what's going on underneath the surface so you can stop guessing and finally get the results you're looking for. Again, this is only for the women who are doing all of those things, right? If you're still that person who's, you know, guessing and doing things based off of your emotion instead of data, I can't help you because we need to get to that point first. Well, I can help you, but the point is the labs won't help you, right? We can uncover all this stuff, but if you're already not drinking water and prioritizing your sleep and actually narrowing down what you're doing, all of that other stuff won't work as well. But if you are that person and you're interested, I can show you afterwards how you can get in contact with me to test those labs out, to actually see what's going on under the hood. That is only for the people who are doing all of the other things as a foundational practice. Now, aside from that, a main theme that goes with this conversation is a term that I've been using a lot with clients lately, and that's progress over perfection, right? Because it's not about doing everything perfectly for the rest of our life and building that consistency. It's about doing the right things consistently. That's a huge distinction. That's super important because if you're able to, track your food and eat whole foods and eat within what your body needs as far as nourishment for a long enough amount of time, you will see the results. Like, for example, I posted about this the other day. It was my mom, right? My mom dealt with like crippling fatigue for years and years to the point where she'd get done work and had to go onto the couch and close her eyes and take a nap because like she physically couldn't do anything else. And that's upsetting to me because it's one thing to be tired or to like over exaggerate how your day was. And it's another to be like, oh my gosh, I have to fall asleep right now. Like my body can't function. So she was someone who came to me and we went through doing the labs and going through my coaching program and we uncovered some stuff. But the big point I'm trying to make about progress over perfection is she was one of those people that, if I gave her advice and she didn't do it right, she felt like a failure and she'd want to go quit on herself. But this time something changed because we talked about progress over perfection, where she was able to take the advice that I was trying to give to her, the habits, the steps forward, and say, you know what? I'm going to do my best at this every day because it's something new. I understand that I won't be perfect, but I'm just going to wake up every day and do what I can and do what I have to do. And she started to do that and she got better at doing those things. But not only that, she analyzed how it made her feel. Her energy improved, her mood improved, she felt more in control. And that led her to have internal motivation to keep going. Instead of seeking for some posts on Instagram, for someone to really rally us up in the morning, it's you analyzing that what you're doing is making an improvement. And that only comes from tracking and understanding what you're doing and how it's making an impact on your energy, on your mood, on your satiety, on your bloating, on those symptoms that you're having, right? So a lot of people, they underestimate how long it takes to build momentum. And they also think that momentum comes out of nowhere. You are in control of the momentum and it takes a while, right? So that's why like giving up too early, it just resets your progress every time and that kills the momentum. So when you're able to have the mindset of progress over perfection and you do that for a long enough time, you're going to build some serious momentum and some serious head of steam towards your goals. Your energy is going to be better, your confidence will build up, and that will lead you towards better results over time. But if we don't see results quick enough, what do? We sabotage ourselves, we go haywire on the weekends, and we have this mentality of restarting all the time. that's going to kill your progress, and you're going to have to kind of muster up the strength to get it going again, right? If you've ever seen like the snowball analogy, right? Like that's why momentum is referred to as a snowball. It starts off slow and it's rolling down the hill, but after a while, it's this big snowball. Inertia and gravity has taken over, and it's flying fast, and it's a big ball down the hill, right? Same thing with your momentum in your life. If you are consistent and you're not being perfect, but you're doing it, working on things, progressing over time, after 30, 60, 90 days, you're going to be, full head of steam. You're going to be doing things with ease, right? You're going to be making bigger strides and getting better progress. But if you only do it for a little bit, it takes so much inertia and power and motivation and momentum to get going. And then you kind of like sabotage yourself before the momentum kicks in and you're restarting. That leads to frustration, anxiety, and I don't want to see you there. I'd rather see you be okay with being imperfect, tracking your progress, understanding what you're actually doing, making adjustments based on data instead of your emotion, and allowing you to build that momentum and feel what that feels like. Because once you feel it, you're never going to want to let that go. I promise you. That's what so many athletes talk about. So many people who have progressed to a high level in their business, their relationships, their health. They've felt what momentum feels like. They understand that they've created it. So they're not going to allow other things to come in and sabotage that progress that they've made. So again, if you're tired of wondering what your hard work is doing and it's not showing up on your body and it's time to get answers instead of guessing, then I would invite you to apply to work with me, or you can watch my masterclass. I'll put the links in for both. Now, the masterclass is my explanation of what I do. Applying to work with me is getting you a conversation with me to see if we'd be a good fit. This is only for the women who are doing all the other things. If you are the person who's tracking, if you've tried everything and you're being consistent and you've done that for a long time and you're just sick and tired of it, then let's get some real answers. But anyone else who isn't ready for that, I encourage you to take the step now, be okay being imperfect, and build that confidence and momentum over time, because you'll look back and understand that it was so hard in the beginning, but now that you've been going for a while, it's become easier and you've become more in control of your life. Until next week, guys, I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and go take action on this, because nothing happens, nothing changes if you don't take action.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show, or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.